is a very powerful leader. You have days where you rock, and you have days where it all falls apart. I certainly have those. And you have days that are just days. Nothing stellar, nothing really exciting happens, nothing really awful happens. Today, we're going to take a moment and ask ourselves, what is your daily rhythm looking like right now? How does the time feel to you? How often are you feeling in flow? You know, that movement, that flow, or that you even have a rhythm at all. Are you even tapped into that rhythm? It's an important question to be asking. So right now, and Sarah sent you a workbook, and we didn't upload that, did we, Sarah?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, you just grab it from your email if you don't have it, because you can just click right from there.
Yeah, so it's in your email. There's in your workbook on the top of page 2, we want you to jot down the first thought that comes to mind as you think about what your daily rhythm is looking like right now. So whatever that, you know, what thoughts are there? What comes to mind? So today is all about creating a flow in your life that sets you up for success, to have many more days where you rock and less days that results in a less than stellar day. So why are we starting today's session with a graphic that looks like this? I want you to think about it for a moment. What does it mean? How does it relate to your daily success? Of course, it has to do with starting with the heart, right? The heart-centered flow, the scheduling, the rhythm, the action, the movement, whatever you want to call it, it's critical to your success. So today isn't about scheduling, though. So this is a day about tuning in. It's about checking in with what your heart wants. It's about looking at time through the lens of love. Just turn that lens of love on. You'll always create the best results when you move from and with the rhythm of your heart. We aren't going to talk time management systems in the next hour or so. Why? Because we're covered that ground in some of our other jam sessions. We've already done that, right? And frankly, it doesn't matter what systems you use to manage your flow. What matters most is that the rhythm mindset, and that you have the ability to check in, to feel, to make decisions, and to act. We believe that you all have the time you need if you move from your heart, period. Oftentimes we give the power of our time away to others. We allow ourselves to justify why we're spending time the way we are, and mostly we are afraid. We get afraid to let go and to tune in. We're afraid of what others might think or say if we live in a self-centered life. So now I'm not saying that you should just run around the world only thinking about yourself, right? That's not it at all. But what I am saying is that when you know what matters most, creating a daily, weekly, monthly, annual rhythm, the choices you make about your time immediately up-level. When you move from your heart and from your desires and from your awesomeness, it serves you well, and it serves others well, right? Well, today I want you to imagine what it would be like to have a plan for the rest of the year that's driven by the rhythm of your heart. So tuning in, it's all about tuning in on a daily basis and what's going on in your heart. A plan that takes into account how you work, a plan that uniquely serves the wild flow that you deserve in your life, and a way of being and doing that feels balanced and creative and empowered. It would be awesome, right? Well, let's get to crafting.
That's right. So I hope that every amazing person on this call knows that your heart wants you to live absolutely boldly, right? But this is going to require you to be all in, right? You have to make that decision that, hey, I am actually going to do what my heart is telling me. Right? And so when you're all in with your dreams, it becomes really easy to say no to all of the unimportant stuff that you get bombarded with. It becomes easier to push through the times when you don't feel like doing the work. Right? Are there some of you that are like, man, I just don't feel like doing it today? I would say, well, you have to get over that, right? Is that you've got to just get into that space where you can check in and say, all right, here's what I need in order to be feeling like I want to do the work, right? Because you can get there every single day, right? You've got to be committed to that end in mind of being that rock star that you know that you want to be. So today, you're going to walk through activities knowing that your big dream is yours if you show up, right? If you decide that your time isn't about Outlook, right, or scheduling meetings, right? That's definitely something that is a tool that can help know what that rhythm is or staying connected to the stuff that's in your flow. But today is about creating that life that works for you and knowing that there is no silver bullet, but that the key to success is really getting in touch with your needs and then creating some deep digging dialogue around what your unique rhythm is going to be, your unique rhythm for success. So today, Cami and I are going to be sharing a lot about what works well for us, but we also absolutely need to hear from you. So hopefully you've spent some time pondering those questions that were in the email, or if you saw them in the Facebook group, because this is an opportunity for us to synergize together. Thinking about it isn't just going to work, right? You've got to just think of the whole picture, your whole life, professional, personal, friend, and getting again in touch with what you need. And you're going to give yourself some time to, really think about your hustle and your flow and what you need. And if you've thought about it before, you need to think about it again today, because this is a daily practice. Every hour that you spend thinking about this stuff is definitely going to move you into bigger, bolder action. So it's time for you to think about, what the last couple of weeks have really looked like for you. Right? If you've got your schedule handy, pull it out if you'd like. Do some reflection. Think about your meetings, your relationships, your business. How has it really felt? Think about those words that pop for you. What's your daily rhythm been feeling like? Now, have a couple of ideas to ponder. Right? You could be thinking of a lot of F words, right? Frantic, freaked out, fed up, fried, foul, whatever those F words are, right? Or on the contrary, you could be maybe in the C word mindset, where it's all about curiosity and cool and calm and collected and complex and creative, right? So what are those words? What have the past couple of weeks felt like? Write down your gut level reaction that's coming up for you about your current state of your personal rhythm. And don't judge it. Just notice and write. The big deal here is don't judge. Connect. And once you've had a time to jot down those first few ideas, I want you to start considering your perfect day. Many of you, as a part of your coaching, have been prompted by Cami or I to get really, really specific around what your perfect day looks like, feels like. If you haven't gotten to that point yet, just know that it's coming, right? It's totally coming. And no matter if you've invested time in thinking about this yet or not, you're going to take this moment right now to connect with your gut about it right now. What is that perfect flow? What's your perfect personal rhythm? Connect with your heart. Take your hand and put your hand on your heart right now. Think about it. Connect. Connect with your head. Close your eyes and see what the rhythm might look like. Does it have a heartbeat? Is it fast? Is it slow? Ponder for a moment what that perfect day would feel like. What would that flow be? What does it feel like? What would it look like if you truly lived fearlessly? What would that rhythm look like if you let your heart lead the way? Would your rhythm have slow beats, fast beats, steady beats, sporadic beats, right? Quiet parts, then a crescendo to the loud parts? Right? What feels right for you as you think about the rhythm of your day? We're going to give you about another minute or so and just write, free write all of the things that come to your mind. And we're thinking absolutely ideal. And when that idea or that inner critic starts to pop up and says, oh, well, you could never have that kind of a perfect day, just tell her to be quiet. We don't need her right now. Just write.
Say thank you, but I've got this.
Yeah. And as you're writing, give yourself some gratitude about actually giving your space to do this today. It's going to have a huge ROI to your daily rhythm, I promise. All right. So you've noted some things, and throughout today's webinar, I want you to continue to add to that list as ideas pop into your head about what that perfect flow looks like. All right, so Cami and I are going to share a little bit about what perfect flow is for us. And so as I remember actually just maybe it's been about a year and a half ago having this conversation with Cami. She's like, Sarah, tell me about this perfect day. And it was funny because it was all about having an unrushed morning for me. Right? The way that I start the day matters a lot because I am not a morning person. I do not like to jump out of the bed and just start rip-roaring. I like to ease into my day. And I wanted to have this daily rhythm that was really surrounded around my children because I didn't ever want to be in this place where it just felt like I'm always rushing my kids out the door or like having to hurry to go somewhere. And so we have really lazy mornings where the kids wake up and they come into bed and we just hang and we cuddle and we have a really nice time. That sets a wonderful tone. Then it's time to get in the shower. And this is where I start thinking about Miss Rita. I'm not sure if she's on today or not, but that mindful shower comes to my point of view. It's like, all right, how can I take a moment of stillness while the water is just washing me clean? Right? So I love that's got to be a part of my daily rhythm. Another really important thing is that in the morning is when I get a lot of really creative ideas. And so this morning, actually, as I was getting ready, I always have to have some kind of a note or a journal or something that I can write on because while I'm in the shower being mindful and, you know, washing away all this stuff, it's like, bam, an idea hits. And I was like, oh my God, I need to capture that now because if I don't, then I'm not going to remember. And so the morning is about creativity and it's just about flow, right? It's about getting my kids fed. It's about beauty, right? I'm a vain person and that's something that I know about myself. And so I love that daily rhythm of just getting ready for the day. You know, working at home, I still get dressed and makeup and the whole thing every day because it's just something that makes my rhythm feel good, right? It's about just knowing that the kids are going to have about an hour of self-directed play after we have breakfast and how can I feel good about just letting them do that and then I can get some work done. In the lunchtime, it's about enjoying time with the kids and trying not to be on technology when I'm with them because I want some quality time. Afternoon, it's all about the afternoon hustle and getting stuff done. This is when I'm creating from the morning ideas. If I don't like strike while the iron's hot, shit doesn't get done. So I try to create or do something, put action around whatever, you know, wild idea that I had that morning. It's when I do my coaching calls majority of the time because I love to, you know, talk. By that time I've got lots of words and, you know, I've got a, you know, the opportunity of just been really curious and so I want to suck all that in. And it feels like the right thing. In the evening, it's time with my husband. And after that, maybe I'll have an evening hustle where I'm going to do some more work. But it's just about knowing that thing. There's a couple of really important things that I want to touch on before I move on, though. I know that my daily hustle has got to involve writing. Writing for me is a non-negotiable. And it doesn't matter for me if it's in the morning or if it's in the evening or if it's during nap time hustle or whatever. I just know that I've got to have at least 15 or 20 minutes of writing in my journal where I'm getting thoughts out of my mind out onto paper. I also know that learning has to be a huge part of it. And so I'm attracted to, you know, reading articles or watching periscopes or just, you know, doing anything that I can to keep the new stuff coming through. And I also know that for me, it's about being really specific about what I want to accomplish that day. And so I try to every day think of 2 things that I have to accomplish and really staying focused. So that's something that works for my daily rhythm. Cammie, what works for you?
So mine is from the same perspective as you, is I don't want my mornings to be rushed. And I don't actually want to say, I put a lot of thought into this. It was, I thought, I want to make sure that I'm getting exercise in. I want to make sure I'm getting meditation in. Do I schedule those into my mornings every day? And what I actually decided, I decided against, because my schedule tends to be so deeply scheduled that I needed to have space in my morning that was not scheduled. And it wasn't about getting up and doing A, B, and C, but it was very much about getting up and tuning into what do I feel like for this next hour or so that I can, if I feel like going to meditate, I do. If I feel like sitting down and journaling, I do. If I feel like sitting and just having a cup of coffee with my husband, I do. I get to do whatever Cammie wants to do in that hour. And I believe also I love being able to get up and without an alarm clock, the natural rhythm of my body wake me up. I'm an early morning riser anyway, and I get up at a ridiculously early hour without an alarm clock. So, but there's some mornings that I do sleep a little later, and I like that rhythm. My days tend to be definitely very scheduled throughout the week, and I think we've talked a lot about I bucket clients on certain days. I bucket what my CEO days are going to be. I'm making sure that I'm setting that up. But one of the things that I did to make sure that I do get in my exercise, that I do get in my quiet meditation mornings, is to, and I bucket my meditation and my journaling into the same category. So I say, at least 3 days a week, I want to be out on a walk. And, when I changed it to making it a really reasonable goal of 3 days a week getting on the walk, I tend to go 5 to 6 days on a walk because it's an easy goal to set for yourself. So that's just something to be thinking about as you're setting goals. Make sure they're goals that you feel like you can accomplish. And so 3 was an easy number. It's like I can totally get out and walk 3 days a week. And, it makes me feel good that I'm achieving that goal and exceeding that goal on a regular basis. So it kind of gets you in the habit of recognizing that you can really succeed by doing that sort of thing. I think that's probably, that's a good start as we kick into. But for me, it was, I wanted to have flexibility in my morning. I wanted to have, because so much of the rest of the time. The other piece I think that I'd mention is I do like to turn my work off in the evening and not come back to it. And I don't like to work over the weekends. I like to get, I get up early and I do I work hard all day long and I get my, 5 days of good work in, but I don't like to work on the weekend, so I rarely do. And I rarely will work into the evening unless I'm, working on some big launch or something. So there we go.
That's right. So knowing whatever your perfect flow is, before you tell us what that flow is, I want you to, at the bottom of your page, answer the question about what percentage of time are you in flow, right? Just thinking of that perfect day. How often are you there?
Tuning into yourself and saying, what does your body need at this moment? How often do you do that?
Right. Sometimes I don't, and then I have wacky stuff that happens, like I haven't been getting enough sleep lately, and so I got another goddamn cold sore. And it's like my body says, Sarah, stop. So I need to tune in and be like, obviously, I'm not in flow as often as I think I'm in flow because all this, stuff happens. So be real with yourself as you write down that percentage. And then I would like to know a bit about what your ideal flows are. What do you know is a non-negotiable as you're thinking about your daily rhythm for success? So if you would like to chat, raise your hand. And we can unmute you and we can rock and roll. And Heather, I just saw your question about the, you checked your email and you didn't see anything in there. So, Cammie, do you have her email and I can just email it to her?
Yes.
Just shoot it to me and then I'll get it over.
Yeah, it should take a moment for that to open up.
We can get it to you as well after the fact, just as so you have it as a reference. Otherwise, just grab a journal and write in it as we go. All right. Oh, she just sent it. I'll get it over to you, Heather, so don't worry, Cammie. So who's got your hand raised? Who's got to talk about your flow? Ooh, Andrea does.
You're unmuted, Andrea.
Oops, I just muted her back down. Sorry. Ready to rock. Ready to rock.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. So I tell you what's going on for me lately is that I've realized a couple different times, and I already knew this, but I felt it more physically, is that, I feel maybe in the morning like I'm kind of in a funk, or, feeling grumpy or impatient, whether even if I'm with my family or without. And the other couple times, I was feeling that way and thinking, oh, why do I feel this way? And then bam, we were walking to a restaurant one morning, and we got there, and I saw like 3 different people I knew, and I connected with them, and then I sat down and I was like all excited and happy. Right? And I think for me, and I've seen this again and again, and it takes more than just my family, who are great, but I get so much energy from connection. And so my trick is how do I get that energy but not continuously keep seeking it by checking my email and going to Facebook, and you know what I mean? Like, how can I contain that, because eventually then it wears me down and I get into the funk again if I just, keep checking email and Facebook. So for me, it's a matter of balancing that and getting a quantified amount of it, and then going deep into writing or scheduling. So that's definitely my non-negotiable.
And that's a good point. Friend time is so important, right? It's that girlfriend time, that female connection is so powerful and does feed our soul. So it's a beautiful thing to be aware of. And perhaps if you're just saying, you know what, I need to make sure on a monthly basis I'm scheduling time to be with my girlfriends. I'm making that time. Does that work out for you? So you're not having to go check and look for those?
For me, the issue is different. I actually make plenty of time for that, and I do tons of, I'm always in danger of overscheduling coffees with people, because I get tons of nourishment from friends and colleagues and neighbors. I think more my thing is that I can connect with, just for me, just going on a run and saying hi to the people in the park or saying good morning lifts me up. And so for me, it's just that act of connecting with the world, maybe in a more personal way, that I know energizes me for the rest of the day. So whatever it is, I think, that energizes you, and maybe it's checking, seeing what's going on in the world and looking at the bigger view, or maybe it's journaling, or sometimes for me it is partly meditation too. But I just need like a dash of that, like a shot of it, and then I'm up and I'm ready to face the day. And so I just have to work on how to get that in a mindful way, in the first couple hours of the day.
Yeah, right, and I think you've got a good, huge, right? And just knowing that, okay, I know that in the morning block of time I need some of that, and recognizing that, okay, I could go down the bunny trail and totally be diverted from what it was that I was going to do, because it feels so good. Like that happens with me with social media all the time, because I don't feel like I'm wasting time. I really feel like I'm connecting and learning, and damn, it feels good. But there's a point where it becomes, now, all right, I'm not getting anything done. Right? So something to consider is set a timer. Say, I'm only going to do this when it goes off. I have to be committed to being done with that. I got it, but that's enough.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. So very important. And it looks like we had Debbie share some content. I know she can't speak to us right now, so I'll go ahead and just read it. It says, I'm running like crazy to catch up. And I know that probably all of you are like, yeah, I totally get that. Right? It says no rhythm. It says, I definitely need help in this arena. And I know once I mindfully work on this, my hubby will like me more. Ding, 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 ding. I so feel you on that. To be like amazing. Right? It says, I'm making my family crazy with this haphazard living. Right? And I know at least a couple of my clients are living in that exact same space where you are, Debbie. And so that recognition of there are so many amazing outcomes by taking a mindful approach, you've already shifted that right now. So congratulations for that. Cool. Yeah. Who else?
Good.
I think we need one more, don't you, Cammie?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Looks like Sandy.
Sandy.
Yeah.
Let's hear from you, Sandy.
Hey, so
Hey.
I'm kind of interesting because like my perfect life is both planned and spontaneous. And so my perfect flow really starts the night before the day, where I can see like my calendars, like telling me what I'm going to do, and I get all excited about everything from like who I'm going to see, what we're going to talk about, where we're going to go. So I really kind of like go to bed thinking, oh, it's going to be a fun day or whatever, you know? And
Mindset, right?
yeah, it's like my mindset of like, you know, and I think with, you know, age, I've really kind of said no to things I don't like to do. So I've been really good about that. But I like to wake up without an alarm clock and let it all happen naturally. But I also am usually, and I like being the first person up, so it's very quiet. And then I feel like I kind of start my day by, you know, reading the paper alone and then kind of getting into the rhythm. But one thing that I do find is funny, that I kind of think my day ends at 2, you know, because it's like I'm such a morning person. It's like I have to do everything in the morning, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything in the afternoon. And so it's always been a challenge for me to sort of like take that huge burst of energy that I have in the morning that includes clarity, excitement, energy, enthusiasm, and I can just, you know, kind of get stuff done and really extend it through the day and not be totally exhausted by the end of it, you know, because it's like I seem to only really kind of have one pace. It's like intense or nothing. And so that's sort of my challenge, is to balance that.
Yeah, and you know what?
Question, do you need to? Do you need to balance that? What do you think?
Exactly.
Like, I would say if you know that, then frickin' fall into that, like head first and dig it. Yeah. Like, you're not going to make your body say, oh, in the afternoon, I'm going to be awesome. It's like, no, you did all of your awesomeness in the morning, and so party in the afternoon or whatever you need to do, but don't resist it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think it's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's if you feel into that rhythm and you know when you're high and you know into your highest moments, and when you've got that urge to kind of slow down, pay attention to that. And I mean, it's whether it's the day, and we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, how it even applies different times of the year, right? We have different rhythms, so starting to listen to that inner rhythm shifts things for us. And it ultimately is going to give you more energy because you're not resisting, you're not fighting against that. Oh gosh, I need to have this different level of energy right now versus, you know, my body's telling me to slow down a little bit. Kind of embrace that.
I was kind of hoping you guys would say I should live in Paris.
You can do that too. I love that.
That's like a Parisian. That's a Parisian mentality.
There you go.
Well, and who's to say it's wrong or right? I mean, if that's what you're feeling compelled to, then I think you rock and roll. So let's continue talking about what this flow is. And Cammie, let's
take it to the next one.
Why not?
So now I want you to consider the percentage of your time that you actually feel like you're in flow. Write that number of what reality looks like for you in that circle on the bottom left-hand corner of page 2 of your workbook. What percentage of time you actually feel like you're in flow versus out of flow, right? I mean, there's a difference, right? Can you think about what that difference feels? The good news is that each day is a day you get to make a choice to live in the ideal flow or not. And it takes discipline. It's not, I mean, there's certainly days that I can jump out of bed and say, oh gosh, I need to go check my email and I need to go do all these things, and I lose my hour of you know, of Cammie time, right? I lose it because I made that choice. So you get to make that choice. It takes discipline, it takes focus, and it takes leading with your heart, paying attention to your heart. So it creates a movement. I want you to think about this. It ultimately, it was going to serve others around you if you, and I think we hit on this earlier, it's what happens with our relationships with those around us when we get out of our whack, right? So we can improve those relationships if we take care of us first. You know, we put on our mask first and breathe first. So it creates a movement that's beautiful, and it will feel powerful, and it will be transformational. It will be 100% you when you make those choices. And before we go much deeper, you need to know that today isn't about doing anything. It takes the hustle. Flow or rhythm is about doing what is right in the right time and feeling great the whole way through it, right? Some people think that being in alignment with your heart and showing up every day to do the work, no matter the cost, is the end in mind. Not so. The type of hustle we are going to talk to you about today is the hustle of doing you, of being you, right? Tapping in and understanding yourself. So hustle is not about working at the expense of everything else. It's not about, it's not sleeping enough. It's not about not taking time for you and those who you love the most. Hustle is living every day from your very center. It's about, hustle is about living every day from your center. It's about taking action daily. It's about living into your truth. And it's about living into your strengths, what you're very best at, who you are at your very essence, right? Hustle is about taking time for you, for your relationships, for your body, your journal, your core, whatever it is that's calling to you. It's not about making excuses or justifying your actions. Hustle is flow, and flow is rhythm. So if you want to build a daily rhythm for success, you need to make a commitment to chunking. And you guys have heard us talk about this before. As you think about all the things you need to do to execute in order to be successful in your life and your business, create chunks. Your planning tasks, your marketing tasks, your facilities tasks, your people tasks, your money tasks, your relationship building, your moving your body, all these different things. Just taking and chunking those out on your calendar. It's about thinking about what needs to be done, grouping it, and executing it. Today we have several chunks for you to consider. We're going to start with a micro view. So we're going to start way down low, thinking about that perfect day again. What does your morning look like? What is your morning flow and rhythm? What does your afternoon include? And what about your evening? Do you have a flow? Now take it out a notch. What does your weekly flow look like? How do you start your week? How do you end your work week? What's the busiest time of your week? And then notch it out a little bit further, right, to the monthly. What does the beginning of the month flow look like for you? What does it feel like? The mid-month practices or deadlines that you've got? What about the end of the month? What's the cadence, the rhythm of your month? And think about your personal rhythms, right? Because as women, we certainly have our personal rhythms that come into the flow of our monthly rhythm, right? Right now, you're going to chunk from a micro to a macro level. We're going to play in this a little bit. So we all have our own cycles. What works for us? What's working in yours? What's not working? When are you the most creative? When you're thinking about the day, when are you most creative? When are you most often in the flow? So let's spend the next couple of minutes sharing what works in our own schedules. We've done that. So it's time to tune into your daily rhythm. Where did we go here? Sorry about this, guys.
Right? Maybe you were just thinking about your perfect day. Now I want you to really drill it down into those 3 buckets, right? What happens in the morning for you? What happens in the afternoon? What happens in the evening? Right. Are you a night owl like me? Are you an early bird like Cammie? What's that flow? Look at it through that deeper lens.
So let's put that all down. Go ahead and take a couple moments just to write that down. What's your rhythm like? What's your soul need in the day? Think about it from, does it need journaling? Does it need nature? Does it need animals? What's it need? Does it need quiet meditation time?
Does it need music?
Yeah, that's a good one. I definitely need music. I have music on almost all day long.
What kind of fuel is your body saying?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of foods do you like to eat in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the evenings? How does that impact your flow? So hold on to those things that are popping up to you. And now it's time to take that wider lens, right? What does your weekly flow look like? Does your week have a rhythm? You know, perhaps it does have a heartbeat. You know, Mondays are, for me, about projects, like rocking out projects and more projects and more projects. I wake up on Monday and I'm ready to just like, rawr, I want to attack the day. So I love that for projects. You know, Tuesdays might be about meetings and sales calls. Wednesdays might be about people and coaching. Thursdays are about reporting. And Fridays are CEO day and writing. Just think and take a moment to notice if your average week has a flow or a certain rhythm. And jot down any words that come to mind for you as you consider what your weekly rhythm for success looks like.
So my Fridays have been writing for a long time. And so sharing, title and book cover is going to be on that result of all those Friday writings, right? Woo-hoo!
I know that like hump day, like Wednesday, is when I really need to do some yoga because I generally am not great about fitting it in at the beginning of my week, but by Wednesday, I know that that's got to be one of the upticks in my flow. So whatever works for you, notice. And then we're going to take the lens even wider. Look at your month, right? As you think of the rhythm of your month, do you notice any trends? Right? And so what are those typical events that happen at the beginning of the month, the mid-month, the end of the month again? Are there certain things that you do at certain points of the month? Right? I always have my customer billing for my corporate clients done by the 15th. That's a standard. I know that that's going to be a part of my flow. Right? Cam even talked about the fact that we're women, right? We could have a certain flow, right? Oh, Aunt Flo comes a knocking, right? What does that do to the rest of your life? Right? I don't think that it has much of an issue for me, but then my husband would tend to disagree. He's like, oh, I knew that that was coming. I was like, dang it, no way. You know, but I have also noticed that my flow comes around the time of a full moon. Right? So is there something in that does anything for you, right? It may not, but it's important to just be curious about that right now.
I think the moons are really something for all of us to kind of tune into. And I'm still at this place of learning myself. But, you know, learning is, are you more on fire and invigorated, you know, during a full moon or the new moon? You know, what just start to notice, be curious, right?
Right. I got that Danielle Laporte planner that I love so much, and I love it because in the month view, it tells you like what are the moon cycles, and otherwise I probably would have zero ideas, so it's allowed me to get a little bit more curious. Like this past week, it was the new moon. So I'm like, how does that shift me? I don't know, but I'm curious. Okay, so just notice, what is that heart calling for as you think of that perfect month? And as you think about that perfect month, you know, are there things that you know you have to have in that month? Right? Is there a date night that you know that you need to have at least once, right? Is there, you know, some fun that you need to bring in? What makes you laugh? What's that food for your soul? And when does it feel good to plug those things in? And you might notice it doesn't really matter. I just know I need to have them all. Notice that and plan for that, right? Now we get to move into one of my favorite conversations, Cammie, about flow.
The macro view, right? The seasonal shifts, right? Because things certainly happen from a seasonal perspective. And, you know, think about the seasons, the spring, the fall, the summer, the winter. How do you typically feel during these seasons? I know I certainly have a big change that happens for me as seasons shift. What are the qualities of these seasons? And what does it do to impact your personal rhythm? I know the seasons impact my rhythm. With this oncoming spring that's coming on, I can feel all kinds of things coming, right? I need to be outside more. I want to be out walking. I want to breathe in the spring freshness. I can smell the plants starting to pop up, right? It's you know, being out in the woods. You see the little grass. It feels good to my body. The foods I want to eat even change, right? In the wintertime, I'm very I like soups. I like warmer comfort foods, right? Something that is fueling my body. I get up in the morning and I have warm porridge in the winter. In the spring, I'm starting to notice that instead of the porridge that I have, I'm looking for a green shake. There's something that shifts in my body that says something, that wants something different. So I get really excited going to the grocery stores when you start seeing the new produce start to come in, the prices come down. I'm like, oh, look at, we can buy this now. And it's you know, tuning into the cycles that are happening is for our bodies is really important. What shifts from a spirit perspective, what changes as we move into different seasons. So page 3 has space for you to write about each of the seasons. Take a moment and write down how your rhythm changes across each season. How do your feelings change?
Right.
What does your body need in each different season?
I know that mine definitely shifts. I was thinking about spring as one of my favorite seasons too, and as I was writing my list this morning with my creativity, the things that came to mind were pretty funny. It was like, I've always done my big moves, or the big shifts in my life have happened in the spring. I once ended a ridiculous relationship, and it happened in the spring. I moved to Colorado in the spring. I moved before to Arizona in the spring. I started working for myself 100% in the spring. I went to Skyhorse and learned about equine guided education in the spring. Right? There's just like all of these themes of my life that when I'm going to make big shit happen, it's the spring. And so that made me think, ooh, what needs to be birthed right now? This new stuff, right? And there's so many amazing things that are coming to me. And I was thinking about my husband and the seasonal shifts, and his high time is when Husker football is about ready to start. And so fall is like his energy and like, yeah, I'm on fire. Like, oh, I could care less about that. But he notices that, and like it changes his dynamic and the quality of the way that he is, his rhythm. So who can share just a couple of thoughts about season and the shifts that you know about your rhythm?
Just pop your hand up and we'll unmute you.
All right, Maggie.
Maggie. Hi, Maggie, you're on.
I really slow down in the winter. Spring and summer, I just move like you can't believe, but I kind of go into this hibernation mode as fall comes on, and so winter becomes a real hard drag for me. It seems like I put in a lot of time trying to get stuff done, but I just don't accomplish it.
That's a good
Something
thing
to tune into, right? If your body's feeling like slowing down, maybe that is a time that you slow down in some sorts of ways. You look for ways that you can nurture your body when it needs to slow down a little bit.
Right. And it's really important to notice that you can't live in one season all year long. Right? Is that if you try to hang on to the way that you feel in spring all the way through the rest, I mean, that's just not nature. That can't be sustainable. And so going with that shift and noticing that that's where you need to be right now, I mean, that's a huge lesson from nature that we can totally take a cue from. So that things have to shift, and that's a beautiful part of our lives.
Thank you, Maggie. Who else do we have here? Susan, you're unmuted now.
Hi. Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, I feel like because I, quit my job, I've never really had the right rhythm because I was always my work was kind of encompassing everything. But in terms of like seasons, I can't imagine not living someplace that there's 4 seasons. I think about like living in Florida, and I'm not a summer person. Summer drags me down. It's hot. I hate hot. I hate being hot. So I don't get a whole lot accomplished in summers because don't ever make me move to Arizona or Florida because I would just drag so much. But actually for me, winter actually is, it's not a rebirth like spring, but for me it's light, especially when it snows. I just feel so, I don't know what it is, snow and just feeling the snowflakes come down, it just kind of makes me refreshed.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of an odd person perhaps, because most people think of spring or something like that, but for me winter is not a time of being dead, it's kind of a time of calming.
Right. And so, and there's, like you said, no wrong or right answers to any of these. It's understanding what your cycle is, right?
Yeah.
And you're in a place where you can redefine how you really leverage
Right.
these cycles for your body. You know, whether it's on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis, as you are redefining what your next chapter is looking like, right? You're creating all this new, and this is the opportunity for you to really set that up for yourself.
Right, yeah. Now I'm realizing this as we're going along. I'm thinking, I haven't really thought about these rhythms that much. I've just been letting everything kind of take me with the flow, and so I guess I need to concentrate on that more. So.
Well, and it's easy for us to, right? Because it's easy for us to fall into, because, you know, our life gets calendared and maneuvered by so many other people. It's really important for us to take this opportunity to do this. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Susan.
All right, now we're going to take that view a little wider and think about just that overall annual perspective, right? Those biggest events of the year. So think about that rhythm of your year. What are those biggest events that occur? You know, the birthdays, the vacations, the holidays, the conferences, the creation, just those things that you know are going to happen. Maybe every year you take a big trip on spring break, for instance, right? What do each of those big events feel like? Right? What are the rhythms around those times? Think about your busiest months, right? When do you net your best income? Right? When's your slowest month? Which months do you have the least amount of energy or feeling naturally energized? When do you feel like you're on fire? Right? I know that when I look at my big events of the year, I have to go to Arizona in the spring and in the fall. It just is something that feels good for me. It's like that, that grounding time. Right? Camping and hiking happens in July and August. That's a non-negotiable. Right? Kids' birthdays are obviously huge. This year I think I'm going to plan a surprise party for my husband in December, and so I know that that's going to have a different rhythm. So November is going to be about planning and making sure that everything's there. Right? So think about that yearly view.
So now it's time to flow back to your daily view, your micro view, right? If you want to rock your daily rhythm, you'll want to schedule time for all of these things. They should look familiar. It's all about the 4 core. We talked about these before. So let's dig into them. So what's one thing that your body and heart are telling you to do right now for your mind? So it's the mind, right? What does your mind need? So jot this down. Write it down on page 4. For me, I'm constantly digging in from a mind perspective around my business. What do I need to grow my business? What is it that I need to strategize for my business? What resources do I need around me? And so I've got lots of, if you looked across my calendar, there is lots of learning going on my calendar, whether it's with my own coach, whether it's me digging in and just learning things on my own and what's out on the internet. I'm always looking for ways to bring more in. And I learn with my mastermind group that I go to on a very regular basis. It's where I feed what's going on in my head, and it's what gives me an ability to keep growing, personally and professionally. How about you, Sarah?
It's all about mindset, baby. My journal.
Yeah, journal. Very good.
That's right.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And I noticed that I'm finding myself really thinking more about spirit, that second part of core right now. Right? And I think that I know that when I connect with spirit, I'm more effective. right? And so those ones are really, really important. So I know that I've got to be in nature a lot right now. Springtime, babe, like feeling that energy of rebirth and newness, and just being able to go outside and not be with snow feels great. So consider right now for you, and on your workbook, you've got a space to be writing some of the things that are coming up for you as you identify, what is my body telling me I need for these areas right now? What's my soul telling me?
So what is your body telling you? And is your body saying get out and walk? Is it saying it needs yoga? What's your body say it needs? I think I've mentioned to most of you that I was just at that whole Art of Feminine Presence last week, and talk about lighting up your body and tuning into what your body needs, and even becoming aware of just feeling your body is a huge thing that I think for me was really, I had 6 days of it, and I'll tell you what, I walked away in a like a pretty cool spot, tuning into my feminine body. So what does your body need?
It's talking to you, right?
Yeah.
Are you listening? And then the final area for you to consider, of course, is your relationships. And we've already been talking about the power of the relationships. So pause for a moment and think about, what is that thing I need to do in that flow right now with relationships? Who are the people that I need to be connecting with? Right? Sometimes I let Facebook or Twitter be my cue on what I need to do, because I know that daily there's got to be some kind of a connection, kind of like what Andrea was saying. But sometimes when I've got that time, I don't know, okay, so what relationship really matters? And so I've been loving Facebook because it pops up those, remember this from 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So I've actually been letting that kind of drive my reach out. So I had a really cool picture that came up with my girlfriend Casey. And so I just shot her a text message and expressed some appreciation for her. And so it was just a really easy thing to do to make that connection. So keep that simple, right? Go with your gut. Schedule that
What
time.
helps you stay in flow or your perfect rhythm? Just be thinking of that. Walk away from this meeting today. Go, what helps you stay in flow? What helps you, when do you feel like you get out of flow? And be aware of that.
To find more time, right? No matter how good you've gotten at if you could create just one more hour in your day, right? Well, we've got some secrets, right? There's things that you know, but maybe that you're not doing enough, right? Maybe it's saying no to the unimportant requests, right? And what qualifies as unimportant is going to change, right? Maybe it's joining the 5 a.m. club, right? I know that this sometimes is a flow that I need. Like I listen to my body. It's like, okay, I know I'm not a morning person, but when I do force myself to get out of bed at 5 a.m. and do my yoga and meditation, like it feels pretty good. Sometimes it doesn't. Right? So maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's staying up a few hours, later one night a week so that you can have a hustle time that you like. Maybe it's delegating it. Maybe it's, finding an intern to help with some of the tasks that you might need. Maybe it's deleting it and saying it's not serving me to even have this on my list right now. Maybe it's just making a faster freaking decision on something that you've been hem-hawing around. Right? But there's always opportunity to find time. Maybe it's buying time. Right, we talked about that once, like hiring a housekeeper, for instance. So just know that you can find time, and your technology can be your friend, right? It's friend and it's also foe, right, if we get sucked into it for too long. But, find things that you can do. Like, like Cami said, in the morning, I'm not going to just jump on and start checking my email immediately before I give myself that hour block of time to me, right? Maybe it's about, at the end of the night, like I fall into this trap all the time where I'm just sucked in, like I get into bed and then I just want to, scan Facebook for an hour, and when I should have just actually gone to sleep, right? The average person who's a millennial, my sweet spot, touches their phone at least 45 times a day. Right? And that just is a crazy number. If you just anticipate or do all of the math, that's a whole lot of time that could be sucked away. So just be curious about how you're using your technology and how it might be impacting your rhythm, whether positively, because I definitely think there's some positives there, or perhaps maybe in a way that is sucking your energy.
So find time by stopping the madness with multitasking too. Each day your mind gets jumbled with all the to-do lists that you've got going on. But what happens when they start to collide? What do you think you're doing well? Does it feel good? I used to think so, not these days. Rita talks about the value of monotasking, and I'm a big fan of that monotasking. That's the biggest myth ever, that we can multitask really well. We really, really can't. And so start to retrain your thinking. Multi equals average. It's mono. Or multi equals average. When you are in the mono thought, it's about being a rock star. So on top of page 5, note one thing you need to focus on to move yourself into the monotasking mindset, getting out of the multitasking. What's the one thing you need to do? Jot that down. And remember that flow or rhythm changes often. Listen to what you need today. When you get out of bed, listen to what your body needs. Don't worry about the system so much. Adjust to it as you need. And know that know when to change things up. Know when to stop and to rest. I'm a big believer. I mean, Sunday I didn't do a whole heck of a lot. I've been going really hard for probably about 14 days, and I needed a day to just shut down. And it felt so good, and I didn't feel guilty about it. It was like, okay, I've been going really hard. This feels good. Know when to push a little harder. Sometimes you really got to push that up. And so just be sure to take time to imagine what it might look like if you listen more to what you need and what that actually looks like for you to make it happen. Write it down on page 5. And your limiting beliefs disrupt your flow. Know this. You do not want to live your dream or just look at it from afar. No way. What you want is your daily mindset to work, to keep your limiting beliefs quiet. And we've talked a lot about limiting beliefs, right? And opening up those empowering beliefs and getting those empowering beliefs to roar. This will make you hustle and flow so much more effective. So show up and listen and do the work. Make things easy by getting out of your own way and building systems that work for you. Stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. Do you the way you are, and know when to ask for help and when to offer it.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in this rut. I need to just notice and make my flow better by saying I need some help, or oh, I notice that somebody else is in a rut. What's an offer that I can make?
Right. So really feel into your rhythm today. Enjoy that. And a couple of just little add-ons that you can do. The first is Teresa Taylor talk, and this is actually out on the Suzuki site, or you can go just Google her. This is a great talk about bringing balance into our life and really being focused. I love the way she talks about focusing on being with people when you're with people. So it's a great one, and she says, she talks about multitasking is not going to help us. So this is a great one to go watch. And this, guys, is a gem. This book, The Way of the Happy Woman. I keep this book by my bed year-round. And as new seasons start to come into, I pick it up and I'm like, okay, what is it that I need to know about spring? So she's got whole sections on spring. And what type of yoga works better in spring versus in the winter? What types of food feed your body in a certain way different times of the year? What does, just really helping us tune in and pay attention to the cycles that we're moving through. Probably one of my favorite books of all time. So grab this book and enjoy it.
Yeah, right. And just keep that drive moving to be curious and to keep bringing new information, new ideas into your life. And we're going to do it again in May. And it's going to be all about embracing the brand of you. And you might be like, God, we talk about me all the time. It's like, well, of course, because you're beautiful. And you've got everything you need in order to rock your epic shit, right? So come and join us. Mark your calendar for May 10th, and we will have some fun. And before we go, we have a request for you, right? We were just saying you should, make offers or make requests of people when you need to, and we would like to take a moment to do that. Right? You've experienced the quality of what syzygy coaching has to offer, right? You're here, you see this stuff. You've noticed how it impacts your mindset, how it might impact your energy, right? I bet that you all have more energy about your flow right now than you did just an hour ago, right? You know how it impacts your ability to take action and ultimately your results. So it feels great, doesn't it? I hope that you're all over there going, heck yes. Right, so today we want you to just consider if you know somebody who could benefit from the work and the support that you've experienced. Right, consider if you know a woman who's thinking about her next chapter. Consider if you know a millennial leader who is ready to up-level their performance. Right, consider if you know a business owner who's ready to make a bigger impact and, of course, a bigger paycheck. Right, and consider if you know someone who needs to be leading from a much more heart-aligned place and less from her head. Right? Do you have somebody in mind? Well, imagine the difference that you could make in her life if you simply just told her about the experiences that you've had and that you invited her to come and join our syzygy circle. Right? Cami and I have both opened up spots in our private coaching programs for a few amazing women who are ready to actually do their stuff, right? So your recommendations to us for future clients would be an amazing gift to us and to the woman that you're thinking about right now. So sometimes it just takes somebody from your tribe saying, hey, you should do this, right? Hey, you should chunk your stuff. Hey, you should say no, whatever that thing is, that hey. So why don't you think about that hey, what you might be able to share with somebody and recognize that important action that they could be taking right now, right? So if you have a referral, it's just super easy. You can ask the person to reach out. You know, you have our contact details, you know, call, emails, Facebook message, whatever works. Or you can just shoot us an email with the person's name, their contact info, and why you think that there might be a match made in awesomeness. And if you do this, our special gift to you is going to be a bonus 60-minute private coaching session. So there's another win in it. So we appreciate you taking the time to ponder that. And as always, don't forget to be social. Share the awesome learnings that you're having. You can use our hashtag WeBeJammin'. And at the end of the day, just give yourself some major gratitude for doing this work. All right? You could say, that was nice, but that's not your way. Right? You're going to dig into this and you're going to start having more of those days where you're feeling like you've got that hustle and that flow, and it just feels great. So any thoughts, comments? What's the big thing that you think we ought to know about your experience today? Something that you might need to share with somebody else? I know we're at time, but I would love to hear if there's anybody that's got that thing that
I'm
like,
kind of going down and I'm muting everybody.
Yeah, so
I've unmuted everyone.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
What's your rhythm? What one rhythm piece do you want to make sure you're bringing with you into the rest of your week?
Sandy says, thank you. So much to think about. Your comments about my flow just might be life-changing. You're beautiful, smart, and generous rock stars. Oh, my God. Thank you, Sandy. Powerful stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, have an awesome week, and we'll be seeing you next month. And did we change the day of this next month?
I don't remember. I just know that it's the 10th.
Okay. Okay. I think actually it's not changed. I think this was not changed. It was the group coaching group that had a change. So, okay. We'll see everyone next month, if not sooner. Bye.